Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Industry Matters podcast presented by VGM. Each episode, we feature conversations with leaders, innovators, advocates, and everyday people who are working to strengthen patient care, support business operations, and shape a sustainable future for the DME/POS, CRT, home access, and broader home healthcare space. At VGM, we believe that knowledge moves the industry forward. Our goal is to give you real insights you can use, whether that's navigating industry challenges, improving patient care, or strengthening your business.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast, Industry Matters Respiratory Edition. I'll be your host, Boone Lockard, VP of Clinical Services here at VGM. Today, we have Matt Stephenson with F&P on the call to talk about a great new product that they just released. Matt, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role there at Fisher Paykel.
Thanks, Boone, and good afternoon, everybody. Like Boone says, my name is Matt Stephenson. I'm the Research and Development Manager. So my role basically is to lead our design team, creating, new and exciting masks and developing the future for OSA therapy. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been with the company nearly 20 years. I started out of college. For those train spotters on the call, I worked on Simplus, which is an older product from Fisher Paykel. That was one of the first products I designed as a young engineer, and I learned a lot. And it was a really good product. We did a lot of research. I learned a lot about the therapy and the patients and what it takes to make a great mask. So I've been with the company, like I said, about 20 years. And these days, I'm, more responsible for all of our projects rather than just one in particular. It's something I'm really passionate about. That reflects us in general. My father has OSA. He's also got Parkinson's. So it's been a good motivation for me personally as well to try and improve the products for people that I care about. And I think patient care is something that we all take really seriously. It's a big part of what we do for our new starters is introduce them to patients, and we put the patient at the center of a lot of what we do. That's kind of really important to us.
Looking forward to the conversation. And I didn't know we had royalty down the line here with somebody who developed the Simplus mask, which was a popular mask then and is still a very popular mask here today. So looking forward to this. So new mask, we're here to talk about that today that you all just launched, the Nova Nasal. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yep, that's right. Nova Nasal. It's brand new. It's been out not very long at all now in the world. It's always really exciting bringing out a new mask. It's like releasing having a kid and releasing them out to the world, and you kind of get that feedback, and you hope they do well. Nova Nasal, like you said, it's a nasal mask, so it's an over the nose nasal. I think as well, it's been a long time since there's been something new and exciting in this space. I kind of refer to it as like one of the original mask types, the OG. It's always been really popular because of how good it is. It's always been a really high-performing, stable product that people can really trust. And when we started this project, we got that feedback from the market that people still really liked those masks. They just had a few things that were kind of getting a bit outdated, and we wanted to sort of improve on that. So as a product, trust was always a big thing that came up in performance. And so we focused a lot on those aspects and tried to bring out something that we think's the best in the world.
That sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit more about where the design started from with Nova Nasal?
Yeah, sure. So I guess nasal masks have been around for a while. It's a category that's, got a lot of respect and trust. Most people who have been in the industry for a while have got, some experience with nasal masks. We talk about them as being sort of one of the original categories for masks that have been around from the very beginning and still popular today, largely because they're very, very reliable products. You can put them on almost anybody and get a good seal. They perform really well. And so when we did our market research, we go out to the field and we talk to patients. And like I mentioned before, we put the patient at the center of what we do, and that's where we start. So we go out and we spend time sitting down and talking to them and understanding what's working well and what's not working well with their current products. And what we heard when we did our research was that people like nasal masks. They're really good, a good product that works well. They're really comfortable. You can put them on anybody. So we wanted to retain that kind of essence of high performance. And what we also heard is there was opportunities to make the product a little bit more desirable. We wanted to make it a bit smaller, easy to use. And so, like I said, the challenge was to kind of keep the good stuff and build upon that, making it more desirable. So that was kind of where we started with Nova Nasal, with our category research into nasal masks. And, really specifically, we dug more into those elements of performance and comfort. How can we make the product more comfortable to wear, continue to work on everybody as much as we can, and then looked at ways of, the ergonomics and the process of fitting a mask for yourself or onto somebody else and try and make that easier to do as well. I guess I'll touch on that in a minute, maybe talk about some of the features.
That's great. Thank you for the overview there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the design of the mask and where that came from, how you came up with that?
Yeah, sure. I've actually brought one along conveniently to sit next to me for those who can sort of see it from home. I guess we like to talk about the benefits of a product, I guess, in relation to features. So I was going to talk about a few of those, and I guess those are where the ideas and whatnot kind of manifest into solutions. So we've got a few kind of key ones. And like I mentioned, one of the key things we wanted to look at from a research perspective was how to make that mask easier to fit and use. So we want to keep the performance and increase fitting ease of use. So we do a lot of work around sort of ergonomics, and we sort of study the motion of humans and how they move, and we want to make sure that's a product that's easy to do. And like I mentioned earlier, my dad's got Parkinson's. It's really hard for him to fit an OSA mask, so I can strongly empathize with what it's like. But from a features perspective, the first one we talk about is SwingFit. So kind of look at the mask. It's all about getting that mask on and off the head easily. So we have this little clip on the side of the mask, and the whole headgear kind of opens up a bit like kind of like a hinge. What it means is that when you go to fit the mask, it kind of swings around the head and connects on here. So that swing fit feature is a very fast, very easy to do kind of motion for people. So it also means that it's all done, kind of with your hands in the front of your face where you can see them, where you're not moving your shoulders. And we know that people don't always have good joints. So that's kind of the first feature. It's really intuitive to use, kind of easy to do, and very simple as well at the same time. And the second thing that we talked about, from a research perspective, was maintaining that high performance of the product and making sure it's a mask that seals on everybody and does so comfortably. So the cushion that we have here has a technology that we call RollFit. But essentially what that allows is for the mask to adjust to different shapes of noses, especially on the bridge of the nose, which is an area that doesn't have a lot of fatty tissue. You can get sores quite easily on that kind of area of the nose. And so we wanted a technology that, I guess the mask adjusts to the face, not the other way around. We don't want the face adjusting to the mask and leaving those red marks or discomfort. So that RollFit allows this mask to kind of fit on different shaped noses, and to do so, kind of without any thinking or adjustment. It automatically rolls to match your nose. It requires a lot of work, kind of how it fits the face. I might talk a bit about that later in more detail. I guess kind of the shape of the face, the types of tissue, and why we want to put a cushion on the face in a certain way. The other thing that we talk a lot about is, I guess, kind of having a good night's sleep is about staying asleep as well. So that's the product not just sealing on your face and not leaking, but not getting woken up by noises or draft, as we refer to it, the air blowing on you, or your bed partner. A lot of people sleep with somebody else, and they're often the one who kind of gives you the elbow in the middle of the night saying, roll over, or, you're snoring, or the mask is blowing on me and waking me up. So we know that's a really important thing. And with this diffuser technology, we call it a diffuser, basically stops that air from coming out at a high velocity and hitting the bedding or yourself or your bed partner, waking them up with cool air, and also kind of helps to reduce the noise out of the product in general. So those are kind of, I guess, the three major sort of features that we talk about. And I guess each of them speaks to a different opportunity for improvement that we saw with the development of Nova Nasal.
It's interesting to hear about the aspects of the design. What other design choices have you made around more so stability? I know is a big thing that the F&P design team typically focuses on. Is there anything with this product that you'd like to touch on there?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Like, I mean, when you talk to a lot of customers, that's one of the key things that frustrate them with products that don't work, is that they're getting callbacks or people calling up saying, hey, look, I was having a good night's sleep for the first hour, and then I had this leak pop up and I couldn't get rid of it. And I don't want this product anymore. So that stability is really key, maintaining that seal throughout the night. So, we talked about that RollFit feature, which is definitely a big part of it, but we have a couple of other ones. This product has what we call pivoting clips, which is, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but what it basically allows is where the headgear joins to the mask frame, it has this pivoting motion. So not only does this allow the mask to kind of connect and disconnect with that swing fitting method, it also means that if people move around while they're sleeping, so whether they're rolling or nuzzling themselves into the pillow as they sleep, everyone has different ways of sleeping. Sometimes that movement or that change of position can dislodge the mask. So what we wanted was an ability to sort of disconnect the movement in the bed with translating to leaks on the mask. So like you say, kind of keeping that stability high so that the mask stays stable as you move around. So these pivoting clips allow the mask to kind of pivot and move, so that if you are rolling around and sleeping, the headgear won't push that mask off the face and cause a leak.
And before you had mentioned the diffuser, when I was practicing and actually setting patients up, I would call it a muffler. But is anything else to add around the quietness of the product?
Yeah, so like you say, muffler's a good word for it. You're really trying to take noise out of the system, and it's funny how a small amount of noise can really affect people while they sleep. Some people are more sensitive than others. Maybe if you've had children, you kind of become immune to it, but getting woken up in the night by bumps and noises is a thing, and certainly something that a lot of people with CPAPs can relate to. So we spend a lot of time testing. We have a big acoustics lab that we test to. There are some international standards, and we even have sort of a microphone set up. It looks a bit like a rock concert in there with different directions, and we try and simulate, that bedroom environment as closely as we can. So this diffuser technology, it's definitely a lot goes into it. It's quite simple looking, I suppose, from the outside, but right down to the offset between the surface of that muffler or diffuser and the holes, making sure there's just the right amount of velocity deceleration. So it's all about slowing down the airflow. And we do a lot of work with computational design, looking at the internal shapes of the product. So airflow is a bit like a river, and you throw rocks into it, you cause turbulence, it causes noise. When you're designing a mask, you want it to be as smooth and streamlined as possible, so you're not creating that kind of noise creation inside it. So a lot of work goes into the internal shapes of the product as well, and making sure that it's smooth and quiet.
So we talked a little bit about the design of the mask and some of the new features, but one thing we haven't covered yet was around the design of the cushion. I know that's usually pretty important to the release of a Fisher and Paykel mask, but can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Like for me, the cushion is probably the most important thing. If you get it wrong, you'll hear about it definitely in clinical trials and market feedback. And for us, we spend a lot of time iterating and tuning that. So I think, like I mentioned, we do a lot of work looking at the anatomy and physiology of the face. So we have cartilage versus fatty tissue. So generally, like I mentioned with RollFit, the nose bridge area is an area that gets a lot of discomfort because there's no kind of fatty tissue. You get marks on the face, or worst case, you get pressure sores. So we tried with this product to kind of, I guess, load up where there was a lot of cushioning already on the face naturally. So kind of around the sides of the nose, you have quite a lot. Generally, you want to try and avoid the teeth if you can as well. People have dentures, or there's a lot of sensitivity. So we kind of go into it with that mentality, starting with, I guess, the person first and foremost, and physiology. And so with this mask, we looked at where to load onto the face to kind of make it comfortable to wear for 8+ hours a night. And we focus a lot on patient adherence. So making sure the product seals well on all those different shapes of faces. For that, we have what we call anthropometric databases. So we spend a lot of time, I guess, out in the world with a laser scanner. I've had some fun going through airports before with that machine. And basically, you hold up to a person's face and it scans all their digital features. If they're willing to let you do that, we can take all these points, these key points of the face, and lets us see, I guess, the variety and breadth of dimensions you get from different noses and different faces. And that's kind of, I guess, those are the foundational parts that go into cushion design. And then we spend a lot of time iterating. So, most mask cushions are made with silicone. The material is kind of soft and pliable and comfortable to wear and really durable. So we spend a lot of time, I guess, tweaking that geometry ever so slightly. I guess, like I mentioned, I'm a mask nerd. I can see the differences, but for most people, it probably looks like another nasal mask. But with this product, we basically rebuilt the whole design from the ground up. The cushion is a completely new cushion. We kept that RollFit technology because people liked what it gave them. But what we wanted to really do was also shrink the mask down in size. So that was one of the things that people told us, is that I love nasal masks. They're kind of a little bit big sometimes. It'd be great if you could make them smaller. And so I guess that's what we did. We challenged the design team to take that cushion, make it comfortable, make it reliable, but also try and do that on a smaller footprint. So on average, it's about sort of 10%, maybe a little bit more smaller down the face. And that gets that mask out of the line of sight. So when you're wearing it while you're awake, you don't feel claustrophobic. You don't sort of see the cushion blocking your vision. It also means, I guess, less silicone on the face. So less sweat buildup, less discomfort, less heat on the nose and face. So it's a little bit more comfortable as well. So I guess, like I say, a lot goes into it from a technological perspective. And at the end of the day, what really matters is that it works on the person who wears it and they're happy. And we do a lot of clinical trials to test those elements. Is it soft? Is it comfortable? And for this product, we asked them the question, how would you rate the softness of the product? And I think we had 100% of people said, it's soft or very soft. And I think that's kind of how you're onto a winner when it comes to the design of the cushion. And when you've got that in your back pocket, it's going to be a good product, because cushion design, I think, is the most important thing.
Is there anything else that our customers, our members will be excited about when they get their hands on Nova?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I could talk all day about this product. I'm really passionate about it. We do a lot of clinical testing as well, and we got great results from this product on all the people that we put it on. So that always gives us a lot of confidence that the design choices we've made have kind of achieved that vision that we set out with in the beginning. There's a few other kind of, I guess, bonus features that we don't talk about as much, but I think are really important. So this one has actually a tube clip up on top of the head, an optional tube clip. So that snaps in there. What we found is that a lot of people like having the tube up while they sleep. A lot of people also don't like having the tube up while they sleep for different reasons. So what we kind of found is that with that split of opinion, we wanted to give people options. I think in general with this product, that was something that came up kind of time and again, is that people want to have good choices when it comes to CPAP masks. They want masks they can trust. And when it came to how you sleep, you want to give them different ways of being able to do that, depending on whether they side sleep or sleep on their back. So this tube up kind of connection is something that's worked really well in clinical trials, and basically allows you to use the mask however you want. So you can leave it clipped up permanently and just take it on and off with the SwingFit method. You can leave it down permanently, like people may be more familiar with. But also you can have it down if you want to watch television or read before you go to sleep, which some people do. It's easy to kind of connect that tube, and then you can clip it away afterwards, and it kind of sits out of the way. You don't get tangled up in it, and it kind of gets it out of the way while you sleep. So that feature has been one that's been really popular. It's kind of a pretty simple idea, but it works functionally really well. A lot of work went into tuning it all to make sure it's easy to do. I think as well, another thing that I'm really, passionate about from a design perspective is, we notice that people often wake up in the morning with marks on their face, particularly on their cheeks. It's a bit of a sign, like a bit of a battle scar for some people with CPAP masks, because they can often spot each other, first thing in the morning and be like, oh, you're a CPAP user. Which I think, while it's nice to have camaraderie, ultimately people don't want that if they can avoid it. So we do a lot of research looking at what causes those kinds of things, marks on the face, and we want to try and reduce the thickness of the straps as much as we could. So from our research, that was one of the main causes that kind of led to those marks existing on the face. There's just this thickness of the strap, especially if you're sleeping on your side. It kind of eventually creates an indent. So we developed these kind of stability arms, as we call them, but it's essentially a really soft fabric around a rigid core, but it's ultra thin. It's kind of got a little bit of flexibility, so it moves to kind of contour to your face, but while you sleep, it's actually really stable. So we found that was a really good way of kind of giving people that stability and confidence that the mask will stay where it's put when you fit it, but it won't leave those marks on the face when you wake up in the morning. So it's kind of a couple of, I think, really cool technologies that have worked really well to remove those issues that people are having with their masks at the moment. So yeah, I think really exciting.
And what does the launch of Nova Nasal mean for your customers?
Yeah, I think Nova Nasal for me I think it's kind of getting back to what's worked well in the past for some people. So like I say, it's been a long time since there's been a new mask in this area, and it's exciting for them, I think, to have a product that fits into that category that's always had a really high performance rating. It's always been highly trusted. So like I talked about, we want to give people options and choices, and we want to have them be confident that they've got a product they can put on a patient, or a patient can take home and know it's going to work really well. So that confidence and that performance kind of kept coming up again through our research and our development. So I think for those customers, they can be confident they've got options now. They've got some really good products that they can go to and trust that they're going to work on their patients.
Matt, we're getting up to time here. I appreciate you covering all of this today. Super excited to see Nova Nasal out into the market. If somebody does want to request samples, where would you direct them?
I would say our website's a good place to start. There's a lot of information online. I think it's fphcare.com/Nova Nasal is the specific address they can go to. We also have a great sales team in the world, and in the US especially. They'd love to kind of talk to people if they've got any questions. They really know their shop. They know their products in and out. They really care about patients like we do as well. So they're always a great person to kind of start with and have a chat to. And they know what options are out there and what the best ones could be for any customers in particular.
Awesome. Well, once again, appreciate your time here, Matt. Thanks again for jumping on with us. And to the audience, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Boone. Appreciate letting me share my passion for great mask design. Have a good day.